Okay, so actually, this is the Stadium of Domitian. As you can tell, it's underground. But Domitian is, or was, Titus's, Vespasian's son and Titus's younger brother, who wasn't very nice. And just FYI, this helmet to the right would be the one that Titus Pullus wore while he was fighting for Caesar. This is the type of helmet that Gaius Porcinus, his nephew, would wear in the late Republic and into the early Empire. By the way, the piazza that we were just on, up above, the Piazza Navona, was, as you can tell by this picture, part of the stadium created by Domitian for games in, what was it, 80 something, 85 I believe. But again, so, you know, Romans build on top of things that are there, and as a result, you have what it looked like back then, what it looked like now. Not a whole lot of difference. Actually, this is a better representation of the helmet that both Gaius and now Titus II would be wearing as part of the imperial reforms of Augustus. This to the right is an officer's helmet, theoretically. This is a representation of the stadium, 275 meters in length, 160 meters across, and it could hold 30,000 people. So it wasn't the Circus Maximus by any means, which could hold 200,000, but still not bad. Okay, these are Greek helmets. So screw them, who cares? Okay, so this is interesting. These are actually gladiatorial helmets, but the shields are actually the shields that came after the shields of the Republican era. This is part of the Augustan reforms as well, making these rectangular shields. But that was, and that's how big they are. So you can see it's pretty hefty. And that big metal thing in the middle was to not only to protect the hand, but to crush people's face in. And this is the type of helmet that you would see in the movie Gladiator. This is by this time. So although this is mostly gladiatorial stuff, I guess it kind of brings up what are our gladiators and the gladiatorial cup going to look like, because they had several distinctive styles. This one, for example, that you probably remember from Spartacus. I am Spartacus. The Retiarii, or the Retiarius, who fought with the pitchfork or the trident and the net. There was the secutor. Yeah, it was a kind of an evolution of a former. What Rome used to do is make their gladiators wear the forms of armor that had been used by their enemies. So, for example, this guy here to the right represents the hoplite, the phalanx type of Greece, and over time they morphed into different crazy. But yeah, the Thrax or the Thriax, the Thracian, is right here. You can see his sword, the curved sword, the high helmet. They didn't wear armor. They were very quick, as opposed to being heavily armored. The Murmillo was the most heavily armored. Yeah, here he is right here. So, yeah, the Murmillo was probably one of the favorites. And you had weird shit like this, the Donald Duck approach. I don't know if you can hear the music, but the glory that was Rome. This is what you're probably more familiar with. This is actually, oddly enough, the most popular sport in ancient Rome was chariot racing, and they were divided up into teams named with colors. And so this is what a charioteer with the green team would be wearing. I don't know if in our era it's going to be a little bit more modernized and be kind of like NASCAR with sponsors, but you know, who knows. Equites, the original equestrians. And this is the falx. It was used by the Bastarnae. Theoretically, you could cleave a man in two, I mean, like lengthwise. But the reason it's called the falx is because it started out as a weapon, I mean not a weapon, but a tool to cut flax. And when the Romans first faced this, it scared the crap out of them. But what they discovered very quickly was that because of the two-handed grip, that the most devastating blow overhand, coming from above, with two hands, even if you had a shield strapped to your arm, it left you very vulnerable to the short stabbing sword of the Romans. So, yet another reason why the Bastarnae are no longer remembered and the Romans are.